go and see the world and just show them what it really means to live life golden. Yeah, we're golden, baby girl, we're golden. They're about to see it shine, 'cause we're golden. They can't ever break us down, 'cause we're golden.
Hey guys, it's me, Sierra here, and I was just coming on here today to show you how I groom my dog Gizmo. He's already had his bath and he's already been blow dried. Unfortunately, I didn't get any footage of me bathing him, but I did get a little footage of the blow dry. And right now, I just wanted to show you guys all the tools that I use when I groom him, all the way from his brushing process to hair cutting and all the steps in between. So with further ado, this is my channel. Alright, so these are the supplies that I'll be using. I just have a small nail trimmer for his nails because he is a small dog, so I do have other sizes, but I'm not going to use those on him, obviously. I have a Dremel, which I got at Walmart when I was living in America. This thing has literally been a lifesaver for me. It has 2 speeds. You can either do high or low. It does require charging every now and again. You can buy these batteries at the bottom separately. If yours goes bad, the one that came with it, which they tend to go bad, which I don't know what I'm going to do when mine goes bad. I'll probably have my sister send me one. But I'm also going to be using my Andis Pulse ZR2 clippers. These are a cordless clipper with a lithium battery. I have a 30 blade on here right now. For Gizmo, I only use 2 blades on him, really. I'll either use that 30 blade or I'll use this 40 blade. I tend to prefer the ceramic edge, which is that white plating. If I can get it. Yeah, that white plate right there, that's a ceramic blade. Compared to this one, which is metal, I feel like the ceramic ones just stay cooler longer, and I don't know, I feel like they give a better cut. And then I have 3 scissors that I use on him. I have a pair of straights, a curved, and thinning shears. I mainly use straights just because I prefer straights. I'll occasionally use the thinning shears and curves when there's a spot that either needs a touch-up or I can't reach. And then, of course, I have my comb. He does require a lot of different brushing. I give a thorough brushing to him because he is a double-coated dog and he does shed a lot. So for my first step, I'll go over his coat with this comb, and then I will take the rubber brush. It's a Zoom Groom brush by Kong, I do believe. Yeah, right there. Kong. And that'll grip the top coat and any loose hairs on the top coat. And then I'll actually go in with this Sleek Easy shedding tool, which works wonders if you have like any kind of animal that sheds like crazy. Like you can use this on livestock, horses, dogs. I'm not sure about cats. You might want to see about that because this blade is a little like the pressure of the blade might hurt your cat. I would just ask your vet or your local groomer to see if it would bother them too much. And then after the Sleek Easy, I do go in with a Furminator. This is a medium size Furminator long coat. I've had this thing for years. It's Old Faithful. It is starting to get bent teeth, so I am going to have to get a new one here soon. But yeah, it works great. And then after all of that, I'll actually go in with a slicker brush, and I'll just lightly go over the coat and get any loose hairs that I missed with anything else, and just to neaten it up a bit. And then after I'm done brushing him, I do his haircut, which I already went over the tools for that. And I do have some septic powder for in case I do get one of his quicks in his nails. Accidents do happen. And And this stuff is also a lifesaver because sometimes you get a rolly dog and you just cut too short. I mean, it happens. All groomers know it. It happens. It's nothing to freak out about unless it's like almost half the nail. I do recommend, if it does happen, just call your vet and make sure like they're gonna be okay and everything. Always recommend a vet. I'm not a vet myself, so. But after all of that, I'll actually go in with some toothpaste and a toothbrush, and I'll brush his teeth. And if he does have some extra plaque on there, I will scrape it off with this tool. Most dogs might not like that. Gizmo, he's been groomed since he was 4 weeks old, so he's pretty good. And typically I do have a grooming table, but today I'm just using one of our tables up in the apartment. I have a lamp here because it is nighttime. Why not groom your dog at night? But I thought I would share this video and show you guys how I groom my dog. So let's get to it. Alright, and he is mostly dry, so we're going to go ahead and set up the grooming supplies, and I'll be right back with you guys. Alright, so I do have Mr. Gizmo here, and he is still a little damp. I usually let him air dry a little bit after I blow dry him, just because he is my own personal dog, and I'm not too picky about him being a little wet, because he's just going to stay inside. But the brushing does give a good time to give his coat to fully dry. It also makes it easier to trim afterwards, so all the hairs are in an even, like where they're supposed to be, and I can just trim and not have any uneven parts. So he is just getting a profile trim today. I never really fully cut his hair because it's not good to shave double-coated dogs. Their coat actually acts as a cooling and heating system. So their undercoat will hold in heat, or it will push ventilation through to cool them down in the summer. And as you can see, well, maybe not, but he is shedding quite a lot. And you'll see throughout this video how much hair I actually take off of him. So I'm going to get started on the brushing and try to walk you guys through this. So like I said in the beginning, I do take my regular comb and just go all over his hair with the fur. I just start by running a brush through him really quick, and any troublesome spots, I'll give them a little extra attention. He does like to he gets really thick in his neck area, and that is part to do with this Pomeranian and the double coat, but I think it's beautiful, so I never trim it or anything. And I go easy with his tail because he's a little sensitive for his tail, so I'll take it and I'll grab where I'm brushing. I don't know if you could see that. I'll grab where I'm brushing and just lightly go through it. He doesn't usually have any knots in his tail, but sometimes he's like, "Hey mom, stop brushing my tail, I don't like it." So, and just from like one side, that's already the amount of hair that came off. So I'm going to be switching sides now, and I will be brushing this side, which is a little bit more wet because when I blow dry him, he likes to face me, and sometimes I can't get this side that great. So this side I'll probably brush a little longer than the other side, just so it has a little extra time to dry. But his coat tends to dry fairly fast. Now, like I said in the beginning, I do usually have a grooming table that I use with other dogs, but where he's my own dog and it's late at night, I decided just to use our table in our apartment because he's a good boy. He knows what he's doing, and I trust him fully. And typically I would not leave tools on the table either, just because there might be a paw that gets stuck on one of them or something. But with him, I trust him. He's my buddy. So, and I'll grab his ears and I'll brush behind his ears because if you've ever had the Pomeranian or any medium to long coat, double coat, you'll know the ears are a trouble area just because they have like this really soft, like lamb hair behind here, and it tends to mat so easily. But just with regular brushing and everything, it stays pretty okay. He's not really too high maintenance for me, at least in my opinion. Maybe for someone else. I brush him maybe once or twice a week, and that's about it. Sometimes not even that because I'm too busy. But here's the hair that came off of this side, and then all together. And then the end of this, I'll show you how much hair I really take off of him. It's a lot. So now I'm going to be going in with the Groom Kong brush that I showed in the beginning of this video. And again, this is just going to take off that top layer of any loose hair. From my experience, I haven't really noticed it getting the bottom layer that well. It's really just like the rubber grabbing at any loose hair. And whatever you do on one side, you do on another side, just because obviously you want to even groom and to have both sides looking the optimal best or whatever. So I'm just going to put this hair over here and I'll show you guys at the end how much hair he loses. I don't do too much with this rubber brush just because it does only get the top coat, and the top coat doesn't shed that much compared to the undercoat. At least not with Gizmo. Other dogs it may be different, especially short-haired dogs. This tends to work really good on like pit bull breeds and like just really short boxer hairs, anything like that. Which he turned for me, and I'm just going to brush this side too. He kind of gets the gist when I'm about to switch sides, so he'll do it for me. He's a good boy. Aren't you, Mr. Gizmo? Yeah. So, and my washer and dryer is running in the background, so I do apologize for that. Speaking of the devil. Okay. And I do occasionally take my hand and just go over and grab any loose hair that I see that's just sitting there. And that's just to keep it from flying around. I don't want to have too much of a cleanup. So the next thing that I'm going to go in with is the Sleek Easy. And this thing, you'll see in a second, it is amazing. And at this point, his coat is mostly dry. There are little damp sides on this side over here, but nothing too serious. I probably may go in with the dryer again just to get his back leg back here because it is a little damp still. But I'm going to go ahead and start on this side with this brush. This brush can be a little rough, so try to take it easy with them and not too much pressure. Just because it is just a single blade and it has like these little spikes that just grab things. But I do highly recommend it because the hair just comes off of them. And it's not just the top hair, it's the underneath as well. Now I'll take it really lightly over his mane. And you can see right here, like this is already what's come off of him. That's crazy. And I'm not even part of the way done. So he does get these weird lamb hairs on his arm, which I usually take this and do that, but I've noticed that if I fluff them up a little bit and just pluck, it comes like right out. So like I'll just pluck at it a little bit, not enough to like hurt him or anything. If it's not going to come out, I'm not going to pull it. Just like light little pulls, and you can see it comes out a little bit. And he also gets it on his lower leg right here, and I'll pluck that as well. So you just have to gauge how much stress you want to put on them and everything, because grooming does have stress. I don't think there's any way to groom a dog and not cause stress unless they've just been doing it their whole lives like Gizmo. Now I will say, if I'm in an actual salon, Gizmo does get stressed out compared to me grooming him at home, just because he sees people and he likes to act like he's being killed, you know, just so he can get attention. Because he likes attention, and there's nothing wrong with that. Now, because I am his owner, he does like to, like, press his face against me, kind of like what he's doing now. And I just turn him away when he starts doing that. I mean, it's nothing too serious. It's nothing like I would jump on him over or anything. He's just like, let me love on you, Mom. So, and I'm just going over this side as well. I'm not going to do too much back here yet because where it's still wet. It actually has dried a little bit more since I was brushing that side. And then there was a spot under his belly that was wet, but it's completely dry now, so I'm going to continue brushing. And I'm also going to go back in with the metal comb and just go through this spot here that's wet. So that's almost dried now. So I'm just going to go over it a little bit. Again, not really that much because I don't like to take these harsher brushes over wet fur just in case something might happen. You never know. Accidents do happen. But, okay. And then with this one, right here, you want to make sure your dog is completely dry before you use it, because this blade can scratch your dog, and it can pull live hair if their hair is wet. So I'm going to wait a minute and do his nails, and then come back to brushing him when his hair's dry. So I'm taking my small nail clippers, and this is his least favorite part. He's not as bad as some dogs, but he does like to test my patience a little bit. So I usually always start with the back feet because dogs tend to not care about their back feet as much as their front. Let me make sure I'm not in the... So, and I just take the tips off with him because his nails are pretty short as is, because I keep him pretty groomed. Or I guess I should say I groom him regularly. Sorry if I like have horrible speech on here. I'm not really good at talking on the camera and whatnot. But I don't know if you can see it, but I'm just taking the very tips off. Nothing more, nothing less. And basically that's just right up to his quick. I will take the Dremel and round off these nails, but I'll do it in a way that I'm not taking length off. I'm just trimming, or not trimming, rounding, just so they're not so sharp. So we're on our last paw, Mr. Gizmo. And like I said, I've been grooming him since he was 4 weeks old, and I've had him since he was 4 weeks old. He's a good boy. I'm glad I got him. So you gotta get the dew claw. Alright. Them dew claws are tricky because they're like super tiny, but they still have a blood vessel in them. So. And of course he turns right to me. Come here, Gizmo. So I'm going to take this Dremel and I'm going to put it on high, and then I'm just going to go over the edges lightly. Again, I'm not trying to take off length, I'm just trying to round it. And then as I'm grooming the nails, I'll go over with my finger and feel if there's like any spots that are a little sharp. Yeah, see, he's gonna be a big baby right now because I clipped these nails. I love you too, Mr. Gizmo. So let me feel that spot on the side of his butt. It is still wet a little bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and go in with my 30 blade and do his sanitary area and his booty area. Well, actually, I'll do the 40 blade first. That way I'll trim up these paws since I'm working on his paws right now. Go ahead and get the worst part over with because he doesn't like his paws being touched that much. And it's not that he's bad for it. He's just like this. He's like, no, Mom, please no. So. And this isn't sponsored or anything for any of these tools that I'm using. These are just what I have collected over the years and what I think work best. I do have a lot more tools than this, but with him, obviously, it's not like a deep groom or anything. He's not getting a full shave down or haircut or whatever. He's just getting a profile trim. If I were cutting a dog with longer hair, you would see more tools, but for right now, I'm just doing the simple groom, so there's no reason to pull out all my tools. Like with my table and everything too, I keep it down in our basement area, just because we do have a small apartment, and I am grooming out of my apartment right now, so we like to take use of space wherever we can get it, so wouldn't make sense to keep it up here all the time if I don't have any appointments. And I'm just tracing the paw pads with this 40 blade, and that just gives it a really nice clean surface area so they're not slipping on the floor, and they got good traction if you have hardwood floors. Being a good boy, Gizmo. Yep. So I'm done with the feet at least. So now I'll clean all my blades and stuff afterwards. I probably won't show you guys that just because it's a easy, fast process and it's not really that interesting. But typically when I groom Gizmo, I usually groom him on the ground just because he does a little better on the ground. But since we're on the table, I'll show you how I groom his sanitary and everything on the table. When he's on the ground, I usually flip him upside down and he'll lay with his legs spread apart and he'll just let me do it. But, like I said, it's on the table, so. I do switch to the 30 blade. I only use this on Gizmo. If I were doing a client's dog, I would do a 10 or, yeah, a 10. Just because that's a little safer, it's a little longer, it's not going to give them razor burn or anything. Gizmo's had this done for so long that he doesn't really get razor burn, and if he did, I have aloe vera and everything to put on him, but I'm going to clean up the butt area just so he's not getting any poop or anything under there. I know, Gizmo. So for all you watching, if you don't like dog booty, you might want to fast forward a little bit, but if you are interested in seeing this part, go ahead and keep watching. Probably should have said that a few minutes ago, but again, like I said, I'm not really good at this talking on the phone thing, or camera, whatever. I'm using my phone, but okay. So, and I just do a diamond shape around the anus area, and that keeps it pretty clean. I will trim up this here in a little bit. I'm not going to touch it yet because I scissor that. And then now I will actually grab his tail, and then I'll hold his leg with his tail and go in and trim underneath. I am going to position him a little differently just because this is a harder area to get to, and he has those slipping kneecaps, so I have to be a little extra careful. It's okay, Gizmo. And yeah, so you guys can watch. And I do a little bit of both. I go with the hair and against the hair underneath of it, just because I like a tight shave. Especially in this area. I don't like him to get any pee or anything under there and it starts smelling. I ain't got time for that. So, and I'm gonna turn him over and do the other side just the same. Come here, get some. Oh, baby. We're almost done. And a good way to keep your tail out of the way is to hold it with the leg. Sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'll just pick up his leg and do it. But other times I grab his tail. So. And like I said, I'm just cleaning up underneath here. It doesn't have to be too perfect, but I like it to be very short. There. So, as you can see, the area is cleaned, and here goes up, up. Which you can hold your dogs like this too, and then trim under their belly. I typically don't do this just because some dogs have really hard time supporting themselves. I usually don't do it with Gizmo either, just because he's a little fatty and he likes to put all his weight on me, and I don't like that, but I did today just to show you guys. You sniffed up your hair there, buddy. Anyways, so the back of this leg is pretty much dry now, so I'm going to start on this side with the brushing. And I'll start from up here. Now with the Furminator brush, it is a little bit more hard on the dog's skin, so you don't want to go over the same spot too many times at once, just because you can irritate that skin and you don't want that. That's that side. Come here, give me. And go over here. And like I said, this little section is dry now, so it's safe to brushing. So, and like I said before, I do use this brush and I go over his whole coat just to get any loose hairs. I'll do this a couple times in the grooming session. And I just let him like do whatever he wants to. I don't really correct him in any way while I'm grooming him, unless like he's being really bad. But he listens pretty good. And, like I said, I trust him. If I had a client's dog on the table, best believe they would have a groomer's loop around them or something to keep them in place. And now he is fully brushed, and we are going to start with our hair cutting. So the first thing I'll do is I will trim this long hair over his toes. We like to call that Grinch feet where I'm from. I don't know if you guys call it that too. But I will take this slicker brush and brush his hair back, and I'm going to do a tight trim on his feet. My camera stopped filming, so I had to continue. But he does have these little flag things on the back of his legs. I trim them a little bit, but I keep them there just because I think they're cute. And now we are on the... Well, I missed the spot right here. Hold on, you guys. Oh, no, Gizmo. Here, give me it. Okay. I missed the spot right there. Had to go back and get it. But now I'm on the last foot. Hopefully the camera got most of the groom because I wasn't even checking to see if it was recording. And of course I'm going to give him that sloped arch, I guess you could call it. So it doesn't look like he has a straight belly, it like blends kind of. So, just a basic profile trim. So, in the corners here it can be a little tricky. Some people just want to go in and cut the whole thing out. I like to make like a V shape and then like round it kind of right here, so I don't actually go in there and cut it. I'll just round it to where it'll kind of look like it's natural. So, and like I said, I'm a straight scissor queen, so. But anyways, I know you're looking at me. Yep. You want to turn around? Come on, turn. She go boy. So, and you want to make sure that your belly's going to match on both sides. Like if I see something that I missed, I'll go over and trim it some more. But he's pretty much even just because where I groom him so much. Trim any loose hairs I see. I might go back in and pluck these some more because they are quite fuzzy. There you go, Gizmo. Okay, and one of my next to last steps with the haircut, I will trim his buttocks area, show it's nice and even, and right now he's kind of a wild man. I don't trim his ears. I mean, occasionally I'll touch them up and give them that heart shape, but I like them a little shaggy. So, but that's personal preference, I guess, or whatever. I'm actually going to trim his tail right before I trim his butt cheeks, just because, get it out of the way. I don't really trim much off of his tail. So what I'll do is I'll brush it out, bring it to a tip, and just trim the tip. And then I'll let it fan out, and if I see any loose hairs, I'll just go over them loose hairs and even it up. But like I said, I groom him a lot, so he doesn't really have uneven hairs compared to like client dogs. Okay, so you can't really see what I'm doing here because the lighting, and again, I apologize for that, but I am just rounding off some of these long hair areas. And I'm not cutting too much off because I did cut a lot off during the summer just because he was getting like hot and everything, and we were doing a lot of activities like going walking and everything, and it was just easier to keep it clean with shorter. But you want to make sure that you're matching both sides, of course. If you're a dog groomer, that is. If you're just watching this because you love watching dogs, I mean, maybe if you want to try dog grooming yourself, although I wouldn't recommend it, just because it can be kind of stressful in certain situations, like if you have a bad dog or something. But also, if you don't know what you're doing, it can be really dangerous. Okay, so I did have to go and delete some stuff off of my card. It kept stopping because I had too much stuff on my card, I guess. I don't know. That seems to have fixed it though. But now I am in the final process, and I'm going to brush his teeth and get any tartar that's on them. I have a double-sided toothbrush. I do use both sides. I use the big one to get the front teeth and the little one to get in the far back. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so that was kind of annoying. My storage was still full, it said on my SD card, but right now I'm going in with the toothbrush and just brushing his teeth. And to do this, depending on the dog, I just lift up on his gum area and just go in there. If I need to get like more, I'll just shove his lips out of the way. He's pretty good about this. He does try to fight me occasionally, but for the most part he's good. And now I'm gonna put some more on the other side and get in the back. And of course, with all my tools, I clean them off after I groom. Come here, Gizmo. Stop. So, I'm going to get these back molars because those are his problem areas. And if they're being like really turds, you can take your finger and actually stick it in there and move their gum or lip out of the way to get to their teeth and gums. Like this. I know, baby. So, I'm just gonna check it really quick and make sure I got all the stuff. This is off of there. Come here. Good job. Good job. Yeah, that's basically it, and that's how I groom my dog. Say bye, Mr. Gizmo. Say bye. Say bye. Okay, and like I said, that's how I groom my dog. If you guys liked my video, please give it a like and follow me if you want. If you don't, I mean, that's okay. I did want to show you guys at the end of it all how much hair Gizmo actually lost. There is a little bit of hair in there from the actual haircut, but it's just like a little tiny piece right here. But this is mostly, oh, and there it goes. This is mostly the undercoat. He does, like I said, have an undercoat, and it is atrocious to take care of. But I moved to the Netherlands, and now I am living here and just living my best life. But again, if you guys enjoyed my video, please like and subscribe. Thanks!